Today, we're diving into a company called Bitmine Immersion, ticker BMR, and they are making one of the biggest, most aggressive bets I have ever seen in the crypto space. They're going all in on a strategy that's either going to be remembered as absolute genius or, well, a catastrophic failure. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter. You see, BMNR stock has been getting absolutely crushed, falling right in line with the rest of the crypto market. So the big question you have to ask is this a massive red flag, a sign to run for the hills, or is this the kind of golden opportunity that smart investors are always looking for? To figure that out, we've got to understand the core conflicts here. I mean, why on earth is this one company buying with so much conviction while pretty much everyone else is selling in a panic? And let's be crystal clear about the scale we're talking about. This is not some small, diversified play. What BMNR is doing is pretty much unprecedented in its sheer aggression and its single-minded focus. They're betting the entire company on one single outcome. Now, you can't really look at this company in a vacuum. To get what BMNR is up to, we first have to understand the crazy, turbulent market it's trying to navigate. It's caught in a really nasty storm, and its fate is completely tied to that bigger picture. The most important thing to get is that right now, crypto is behaving like a classic risk-on asset. All that means is when the market feels optimistic, people pile in. But the second fear takes over, it's one of the very first things they sell. And as the whole market faces these headwinds, BMNR stock is moving almost perfectly in sync with it. But this is where the story gets really, really interesting, because despite all this market chaos, BMNR is not panicking. In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. They have a very simple, very bold thesis, and they are just executing it relentlessly. So what is this strategy? It's being called the Ethereum MicroStrategy thesis. The idea is to use the company's balance sheet to buy a truly mind-boggling amount of Ethereum. By doing that, they effectively turn the company's stock, BMNR, into a vehicle, a proxy, for investors who want to get exposure to ETH without buying it directly. Now, if this game plan sounds familiar, it's because it's a direct copy of a very famous strategy. MicroStrategy, or MSTR, famously converted its cash into Bitcoin, and they became the #1 stock for getting BTC exposure. BMNR is running the exact same playbook, but for Ethereum. The goal is identical: become the go-to stock for ETH. It's a simple idea, but an incredibly bold one. So if they're following this playbook, just how big of a position are they actually trying to build? Well, this is where the scale of their ambition goes from just bold to, frankly, mind-boggling. It's one thing to say you're buying a lot of something. It's another thing entirely when you see the actual numbers. So, really, how big is this bet? Get this. BMNR's publicly stated goal is to buy and hold 5% of the entire Ethereum supply. Just let that sink in for a moment. Not 5% of their own money. 5% of all the ETH that exists in the entire world. And this isn't some far-off dream, some plan for the future. No, this is happening right now. Their current Ethereum holdings have already topped $14 billion. And yes, that's billion with a B. This makes them a true whale in the Ethereum ocean. They're already sitting on about 3% of the total supply, which makes them the largest corporate holder of ETH on the planet. And they are buying so aggressively, treating every single market correction like it's a Black Friday sale. For example, over just one recent weekend, they reportedly scooped up 27,000 ETH. So what does all this mean for an investor who's looking at this situation? Well, this strategy creates a very clear, very binary outcome. Let's break down the massive potential upside and the equally massive risk. The bottom line is this: BMNR has literally chained its entire corporate future to the future of Ethereum. The company's fate and the asset's fate are now one and the same. There is no plan B here. So here's the investment equation laid right out for you. The upside? Well, if you believe in the long-term future of Ethereum, BMNR acts as a leveraged proxy, which just means its stock could amplify your returns, potentially going up even faster than ETH itself during a breakout. But the downside: this is the very definition of a high-risk, high-reward play, where the company's success or failure is completely, 100% tied to the fate of Ethereum. Okay, now there's one more layer to this, but I have to say, This is highly speculative. Some reports and theories out there suggest that some influential political figures might have a growing financial interest in Ethereum. The idea is that if people in power have their own skin in the game, it could lead to a more favorable regulatory environment down the line. To be super clear, this is just a what-if scenario, but it's an interesting little wild card to keep in the back of your mind. So let's bring this all home. We've seen the market storm, the audacious strategy, and the immense risk. It all boils down to one final, ultimate question. Here are the two ways you can look at this. In the visionary case, BMNR is playing 4D chess, building the ultimate stock proxy for the future of decentralized finance by locking up a core digital asset. But in the reckless case, it's just a simple all-or-nothing gamble, chaining the company's fate to one of the most volatile assets in the entire world. So is BMNR being visionary or reckless? Ultimately, the answer doesn't really lie in the company's stock chart. It depends entirely on one thing: what you believe about the future of Ethereum itself.